everyone. Oh, I can't get my. Oh, I guess it did go up there. Sorry about that. Well, I hope you guys have had a good week and um, are having a good day today. I got a message from Janella that said she's got an appointment today, so she's gonna won't be in class live with us, but is gonna watch the replay. Excuse me. I have a drippy nose today. I think I have a whole lot of dusting I need to do, besides the fact that, and I don't know, we may get interrupted this afternoon. Um, last couple days ago, can't remember which day it was now, the because they've had problem with the smoke detectors and the water's sprinkler heads freezing. Um, or the sprinkler, not the smoke detectors. I have both of those fixed now. And so far I got two left that haven't been changed out. But the sprinkler heads on everybody's decks have been freezing. So I now have a hole in my living room ceiling. Well, actually, it's not exactly a hole. They came in and he made a hole about 2.5 feet by 1.5 feet square in my ceiling by my deck door. And it's now covered up with a um, piece of something and taped with blue tape all the way around it. And I was surprised it didn't make very much dust, just a little, because as he cut with his little handheld cutter, he had a vacuum underneath it. So, but now they're supposed to come back and do the next stage. I'm over my storage limits. My computer is telling me my storage is getting bad. I do not want to upgrade. Okay, I can't get it. Oh, there's the close button. Sometimes you get so many things up on your screen you can't figure out how to get them closed again. So how's everybody's week? Have you any a chance to do any designing or tatting? And do you have any questions before we start today? How many of you who's had color experience or knows a lot about color? Anyone? I've talked about it off and on. Oh, you're under a snowstorm. Oh my gosh. Yeah, actually, I've taken a lot of things off an external drive and put them on my computer right now. So I know that's part of the problem. And as soon as I get everything picked out that I need, I will get those things back off. So I'm quite sure that's the problem. I've been working with photos and had a bunch of photos that were on an external drive and then a bunch of old tatting things because I couldn't find some of my tatting things that I wanted. I've talked about color in class before, so I know some of you have um, gone through that with me in this class. Oh, wonderful, on her examples. I haven't had a chance to get to the class. In fact, I haven't been to Tammy's either the last couple weeks. So hopefully I can get back into that. Um, Katia, what type of samples are you working on or examples? We'll get started here in just a moment. Um, I decided to do just color today, although we have some samples to look at. Uh, Tasneem has been tatting and designing, so I'm going to pull those up and then shift us to the computer screen. Get it in the middle of the screen. Oh, wonderful, Katia. I'm glad you've been playing with color. And I want everybody to play a lot more with color. Oh, the true ring adding thread and the folded join. Okay. So this is Tasneem's initial drawing. And I love it. But it took me a bit to realize at first that this was, she said she'd been working on corners and I still had the magic squares in mind. But then I realized that, and maybe because of the arrows, my brain assumed the first thought was a magic square. Oh, a special pattern. That sounds fun. I have to see if I can make time to get in there. Um, because of the arrows, I was thinking magic square. But this one is more like a something you'd tap for a book corner or to do another type of triangular design. Can anyone tell me why? Let me see if I can zoom this in a little better so you can see one little thing she's got on the diagram that, oh, is the sound bad? Uh-oh. Oh, wait, I don't have my desk camera on, so it's only my computer sound you're hearing. And that's up. Are you not hearing me? Anybody? I know my. Oh, now you do? Okay, great. I was just typing. I thought, oh, I can't ask you if you can't hear me, so I was just typing the question. Okay, so when you look at this corner square, can you tell me, anyone tell me why it's not a, you did for a minute? You can hear, okay, okay, great. Thank you, Katia. Super, Mary. All right. There's two things that indicate why this isn't a magic square triangle to start a magic square. Or it could be if it could be worked out. First of all, this would have to be rotated. Um, let's see. Trying to think. Anyway, the main thing is up here, she shows a little arrow going in, and she shows going down, and then she's going across the base. And we don't go across the base in a magic square. Remember, if you start at this corner, you have to, and I'm quite sure the diagonal is the other way. I'm going to pull up something in a little bit to kind of explain that more. But I think it's a beautiful pattern. However, I got another email from her, and she said it wasn't working out. She couldn't get it to work out right. So here's a second sample that she started. And I'm not sure on the direction she worked this, but it looks like she went across and down and then back across, back up on the other side and across. And if it was a magic square, she would have had to have filled this center in, just filled the center in as she was going across and then down. Because from there, then you have to go down and start the well, anyway, you have to start another triangle, but this is definitely just a corner, not a magic square. And then after that, here's her finished corner. And I really like this, I really do. It's got the nice center motif. It's almost like half an oval in the center. She's filled in that oval, and then she's ended up with two little triangular spaces that are filled with a clover look. So this is really exciting. To have a student, usually seems like every semester there's one student who is really, it's the right time for them to design and to get into what we're designing for the class. So, and there are so many different things she could do with this. I'm, um, I think the border to me just sets it off really nice. And you've got the angle, which is nice. And then in contrast, she's got the soft, rounded shapes for the base of the triangle instead of it being straight across. And that's a nice contrast of the straight and then the curved. And there's a lot of curved inside, but when you take the bulk of it, it's really balanced by, because of the size and the closeness of the top and the two straight sides, the boldness of that contrast with the delicate, more delicate rings in the center, which is really nice. Any other, what are anyone's thoughts on that? I also like the way with all these small spaces and then even the clover look rings, all are kind of the same size spaces. So it's really nice to have this one right here that is a nice contrast. It's like your eye is kind of, when we look at things, we kind of look at anything visual like we read. Start at the top left and read left to right. And this leads you across and down and then brings you around and back into the center. And that this bigger center space makes a nice focal point for the entire thing. And notice though it's centered from side to side, but it's not quite centered from, it's not centered this distance from the center to the outside edge here is bigger, although it looks centered from corner to corner. It's just in the perfect place to be a focal point. And it really, when you see that, I think you really start looking, your eye is drawn. Well, we go across and down, and then the scallops, I think, bring your eyes back up and around and then back into the center. Yes, yes. That was my first thought, was it's a great heart too. And there's so many things you can do with this to arrange it. One of the things I want to talk about next week is if you take a motif like this, and I'm going to cut out some colored paper, I think, and we're going to play with how many different ways this could be arranged and what you could do with just this triangle or any triangle. So anyway, that's what Tasneem's been doing. It's like I can see her triangle even as a bookmark with the points to the center for a small doily. Um, it could be, the four of them could be the start of a square design or a larger rectangle design. It could just be turned into so many different things. And I hope someday this, her first sketch, becomes something. Might not even be a triangle, but. Okay, now we're going to start talking about color, and I do have some. The first link I gave you, no, I don't want Facebook. Here we go. Where'd you go? There it is. Okay. We're going to start with the first link I gave you because I think it's a very good basic primer on color. This is, of course, Fire Mountain Gems. I think a lot of tatters are familiar with it. I've bought a lot of gems from them. They're a very popular place to buy them. And the first thing I want to point out, let's see if I can zoom in a little more on just this, because here's your color wheel. I like this one to look at first because it's not the wheel with all the rounds or anything like that. It's basically your 12 main hues. And I'm talking about, we want to talk about hue today, what hue is. Now, a lot of people use the word hue and the word color interchangeably. There is a difference, however. If these, I'm not sure this particular one are the pure. It looks to me like pure yellow, pure orange, a pure red, the pure colors that are fully saturated. And what that means is like they are the yellow and the orange and the blue that you see in a rainbow. Those colors are totally saturated, pure colors. They're pure because they don't have any other color mixed into them, except for, and that's for your yellow, your red, and your blue. Now for the and those are your three primary colors. Notice if I go up here from the point of the yellow down to the point of the center blue, across to the red and back up, I've got a triangle. It's a triad. And when you see color wheels, they have all those lines crisscrossing in between, and we'll look at that too. That's basically what it is. And then you've got, yeah, I should have said not fully saturated colors. Because then you've got your red, yellow and red, which make your orange. And these are each one step away from, you've got the yellow, then you've got a step, and then you've got the orange. And so everything that's if you mix the, I'm going to get into that when I show you the next page. Just know that these are your basic 12 colors, and these are kind of a little weird. That looks aqua to me. I guess the basic thing on this page is, let's say, the other thing I can tell you using this is, notice how the yellow's at the top. Sometimes you're going to see color wheels, they have the red at the top. Those seem to be the two popular angles to show the color wheel. And there's no right or wrong way. This is all the way around the spectrum here of colors. It doesn't matter which one you show on top or which, what position they're in. And most of you know there's three primary colors. When you mix those with their next door primary, you get your secondary colors. And then in between those, you get tertiary colors. These are just words for now, and I think I've started out a little bit different than I should have. But I guess the main thing, notice the colors here, and then look at the colors over here of the butterflies. You've got a blue, and across from that is orange, and you've got blue butterflies and some orange butterflies of a deeper shade. Now, what helps keep it balanced is, like this rust-colored one right here, is kind of the same saturation and tone as the blue one on the right. And then the smaller little dark rust one down here. Those are balancing each other. And then if you look at the color wheel, we have the purple, and that is, notice that's blue and red make purple. So the purple is right next to the blue. And so that would kind of be this, they've used that. It's not an analogous scheme because they've got the oranges in there, but it's purple and blue are closely related, and that's how the purple fits in nice. And then you've got some lighter ones, the silver one, the lighter yellow one, and the one down below that's silver and blue. Those are kind of like accents that you can put with them, but they all work together because overall there's a nice balance of colors that are the same kind of intensity, saturation, and then some that are lighter, and there's a nice balance of the lights and the darks. So let's jump down. I haven't watched the video, but this is what I was talking about. I should have waited till I got down here. You've got your three primary colors, your yellow, your blue, and your red. And then yellow and red make your orange, yellow and green make that. You probably know all this from coloring with color crayons and in school. And then you've got the in-betweens where you've got a primary that mixes with a secondary, and then you get a tertiary. So, and that's down far. Oh, they don't show that. They're only showing the primary and the secondary. And that's what's right here. Um, if you mix a primary with the nearby secondary, then you get a tertiary. The word tertiary, no, I'm not going to. Anyway, I, I got to pull my thoughts together. Okay, so color schemes. If you take all the different shades and tones of one color, those are monochromatic, mono meaning one. There's only one color family involved. Colors next to each other blend well. They're analogous. Now, if you had only analogous colors, you have to be a little careful that your design is not too boring. If they're all so close together, it could just be too much if it's not done right. Complementary colors are across from each other. An interesting thing about these is that they complement each other because they're exact opposite on the color wheel. But if you mix them together in painting, it's almost like they kind of nullify the other. You're going to get, when you paint and you start getting muddy colors, brownish or gray, instead of what you thought you were going to get, you're going to, it's because you're mixing colors that are across from each other on the color wheel. And when we talk about a color wheel, watercolor pigments mix differently. A lot of the basics are all the same, but watercolors, their blue and orange might mix a little different than an acrylic paint or a fabric dye. It's all the base pigments that make the difference. But in general, you will get a muddy color if a color and its complements get mixed together. So if you're looking for a muddy brown, gray, or blackish, that's the way to go. Try your complementary colors. Now, a split complementary is one, and rather being the orange across from it, it's the colors on either side of the orange. This would be the orange across from it, but these are the colors on the other side, the colors that would be up on top of the orange and down at the bottom of the orange. So this is just a real basic, and we're going to look at the other ways that they show them. Now, when we get to the hue and value and saturation, those are the three characteristics of color. And this doesn't have a sample, so we're going to talk about these on another, when we go to another site. What's really interesting is down at the bottom. Remember last time we talked about, or last month we talked about the color of the year, mocha. And if I zoom in here, you're going to see that there's kind of a brownish color in here. I can't read what it's called, but sorry about that, my in and outing. Oh, and there's another one up here, and that looks like a brownish. And they're close to, I think this one is more of the mocha brown. It says Fire Mountain. Remember how I said that all kinds of industries follow the Pantone color of the year? Cars are painted that color. You could, lots of clothing this year in the fall 2025 fashion lines are mocha in them. Paint colors, um, have colors that go with that mocha too. And here it said Fire Mountain Gems and Beads Color Forecast, inspired by a global panel of fashion insiders. And it says, sneak peek of the trends of the upcoming fashion seasons. Read more. So I'm going to click on that. That's the other link I gave you. And there is the mocha brown. They're kind of focusing it on it in some different things at the top of the page. And some, I don't know if those are coffee or cacao beans. And I've heard, from what I've read, a lot of people are kind of disappointed and not happy with that color. Um, but it is a nice, kind of a neutral color. You know, everybody kind of gets tired of beige, and then gray's been popular for a long time. And mocha, in the right shades and all, is a beautiful color. It says it's a warm, inviting brown that delights with its rich, nurturing qualities, evoking the essence of chocolate and coffee. Um, so here, let me back out a little. Now here, I'm going to start talking about hue. The Yeah, I like it too, Mary. I think it's a nice color. Um, and everybody doesn't go exactly with the mocha that Pantone shows, but they use it as a base for what they do. And so a hue is one of those 12 colors in their fully saturated colors, like the color wheel we just saw. Those are called hues. Now, all of these are colors, and they have names: river otter, lion's mane, eucalyptus mint, peach puree. These are colors, and there's millions of them. And your Crayola color box, all your crayons, and it's Crayola that gives their crayons their color names. And this is Fire Mountains that are giving these names. And so but they each of these belongs to a color family. It's derived out of the 12 pure hues. So all these colors we've got, now see, they're using kind of a cinnamon toast down here is close to a mocha. And then they've got the other browns. I guess Harvest Gold is kind of a browny gold. And then all these colors can work with it. Notice something. You've got purples and blues, you've got greens, you've got yellow base. And on this page, they are all the same tone. We talk about tone, and tone is derived from the mixture of black, white, or I'm sorry, gray, mixtures that have gray put in them. Notice they're all kind of the saturation and the same kind of a grayish tone. They just all fit together, um, and they would all be probably close to each other on on one of the circulars circles on the color wheel. I don't know why this is coming out. Fall and winter, a little bit different. You've got some pastels, you've got some of your dark, typical indigo nights, Zinfandel, that looks like burgundy to me. And this is all done ahead of time. And now we're going to go to, and I think this will help clear up some of what I've been saying. Okay, this is the Interaction Design Foundation. Interactive design is basically talking about design that you see on your computer screens and your um, TVs, your tablets, anything with a screen, but it's the same basic color wheel. It's a different color model. I think I mentioned that before. Anything on the screen is done with um, red, green, and yellow. RGB, red, green, and yellow. And you'll see that, like even if when you're working with Inkscape, that's one of the color models. But that only has to do with color on the screen. Even though colors on the screen look the same as maybe the red on the screen looks like your red dress, it's the technology of screens have to be formed by light. In your movie, you've got the projector that streams colors of light that give you your movies. You know, the old-fashioned projector in the back, and your TV screens, your websites. All this is all the colors are derived from red, green, and blue. When you're talking about prints or dyes, they're done on a print model is CMYK. Cyan, which is a blue, magenta, which is, and it's because it's not formed by light. Those colors are in the inks and the paints, and all are formed by different pigments, different base materials. And when we're looking at something, what we're seeing in color is coming from the light around us and the way the light bounces off the surface of something. In the digital world, the red, green, and blue are lights that are shined and combined together. Yes, it is. It is. And we all don't see color exactly the same. It's going to be close, but it's not going to be exactly um, look the same to each of us, because it's our physical eyes look at something, and what we see is the color that is bouncing off a surface. Like all the colors of the rainbow come and hit the surface of something, and they absorb everything but the color you see, because that color is bounced back, and that's what your eye sees. And then you've got the physiology of the makeup of your eye. And you use four basic colors with or without white and black to get some dramatic effect. That's a great way to work, Aurora. Um, and I bet your four basic colors are one of the color schemes. And it depends upon if you only have that many colors, they don't necessarily all have to be the same tone and saturation as long as they work well together. It is totally amazing how we see. And then using with or without white and black, yeah, that's white and black are great to get contrast with. And they are neutrals, so they go with everything. I like that idea for people who really don't want to worry about color. And if you look at dyed threads, very few of them have more than 3 or 4 colors in them because too many, unless it's a rainbow effect, and then they almost have to put all those colors together, be the same saturation or intensity or tone. Okay, so what are hue, value, and saturation? We talked about hue. It just the hue tells you if it's red or a blue based or a green or any of the other colors on the color wheel. In that one pure you know, pure row. And every other color derives from one of those. And so that's why we'll say maybe it's a red color family, it's a blue color family. It's derived from the blue hue or it's derived from the red hue. They are, Mary. Yes, they are. And tatting threads are really great to look at how colors are combined. Um, if you have a color that you want to use, one of the easiest things to do, um, look around you. Is it in a piece of clothing you own? Is it in your decor? Um, do you see it displayed in a store with other items that all look color coordinated? All those are places you can pick your, if you start with one color of thread you want, you can pick colors that will go with it. But yes, if you're tatting, it has to be something that somebody is making, like somebody is hand dyeing or like Handy Hands has in their threads or something like that. But those combinations, and especially looking at Handy Hands, it's easy to see, oh, those 3 colors or 4 colors are going together really well. So the hue is that. Color refers to all the colors, and there's all have specific names. Hue is the family or the base color it comes from. Value is light and darkness, and it refers to a grayscale. And a grayscale, if you've never seen one, I don't know if they've got one here or if it's the other. It's funny, each thing you go to shows things in a little different way. Let me jump to the next one just to show you. This is another link. This is the Draw Paint Academy. And I think she has, oh, here's desaturated color. Oh, here we go. This is a grayscale. Artists, photographers, and all, they all uh, talk about a grayscale. And what it is the lightness or darkness of a color um, when, if it does not have any black in it, pure white, that's the most intense, and it's a high key color, bright white, and gradually an amount of black is added, just enough to get this next square. which is grayish white. And then the same increment again and again and again until you get to total black. And black is very low key. So this is the overall value. So value in a color, and I think maybe we'll go back to this other one. Nope, that's not the one either. Well, value in a color, here you can see white at the bottom and black at the top. So this blue right here, the value does relate to, where to go? It does relate to one of those grays, one of those gray values. Because you can see here, actually it's blue being added in increments that take you to pure, I don't know if I can say black or just dark, the darkest navy you can get, but the darkest navy is going to go to total black because you go from white to black. So that's what value is. It has to do with the amount of black that's put into something. And saturation, also known as chroma, you often hear the word chroma used, and it really is saturation or the intensity. And remember, the primary colors are at their full saturation. It refers to the purity and vividness of color. And it's always been, for a lot of people, and even for me, the distinction between saturation and value. And truly, it's something you don't necessarily, it's something you kind of see, but you don't recognize it as what it is. But it's something that is important when you're mixing colors. And as we get to looking at things, we can talk about that. The other thing we haven't talked about yet is color temperature, what's coming up. So here's your color wheel again. And just your one color, your analogous colors, 2 to 3, maybe even 4 colors next to each other. They usually show it as 3 colors located beside each other. Your complementary across from each other. And being opposite colors, one of the things you'll notice is complementary colors, blue and yellow, or blue, or maybe this blue and that orange. You see a lot because they're so striking against each other. You see a lot of it in sports team logos, or think of all the different sports teams. They might have red and green, or the blue and yellow, or the, well, orange and blue, I guess yellow, and that's a probably a violet color down there that's opposite it. Exactly. But blue and yellow complements are very striking. Split complementary is not so striking. And notice we're still looking at only the color wheel colors in their purest form. Because as you go out and have a big color wheel that you can buy and all, it's going to have a lot of other colors of these from these base families that are all have to do whether they're tinted or shaded or toned. and their value, their lightness and darkness. And it's hard to, purple and gold, yes. We don't have a good purple on here to see, but gold and kind of a purplish, yeah. This one on the screen is a little hard to tell. Then we have tetradic, there are four corners, and we have squares, and they're all different colors. The other thing, warm and cool colors. A mix of warm and cool colors is nice, and you can see because it gives you some contrast. Warm colors are always from yellow all the way around to violet. Um, and the violet is right next to the, and think of warm colors, a red fire, orange flames, or we think of fire red, orange flames, the yellow sun, they're all warm. Um, this color right here is closer to blue, and blues are known to be cool. Think of water and the sky and ice, the sky without a hot sun. And then greens, cool green grass, um, and the yellow green um, is still considered cool. It's got enough green in it to be with the cool colors. And like violet here is or magenta. It's hard to tell which colors are which on this screen, I have to admit. So anywhere, and this tells a little bit about emotional responses from users. And emotions go around with certain colors. Um, Blue for trust. You'll see like banks use blue a lot. Loyalty, peace, sadness. I guess sometimes you hear the phrase feeling blue, feeling kind of down, feeling sad. So there's a lot of things that goes into color as far as our perception of it. This one has a good demonstration of, now here's where we start getting into, um, this has got some ads in it because it's the Draw Paint Academy. And here's one of the old-fashioned color wheels. Here's the color wheel that we've been looking at. These are the pure saturated colors. Yes, it is. Yes. Warm gold and a cold purple. And here you can see these colors I think are a little bit better to talk about because you do have yellow right opposite violet, and you've got like yellow orange, which is a gold, opposite blue violet. And here's our orange versus across from blue. And here's where all these lines that you see on color wheels come in. Remember I said from the yellow to the blue, across to the red, the three primaries, and to the top forms a triangle. And that's what this means. They're triadic colors. Um, and the upside down triangle, remember the yellow and orange form yellow orange, but the secondary colors are the mixture of green and yellow do the yellow green. So yellow green is a tertiary color. Green across orange and violet form an upside down triangle. Those are the secondary colors. And all the ones that don't have lines are the tertiary colors. And it shows you right over here. So, I mean, these are, you want to go back and, you know, go through this more than once, and we'll talk about it as we look at designs too, so that it really, taking it all in at once can be kind of hard. Here it talks again about hue and the colors that are hues. Saturation, how pure a color is. Adding gray or a color on the opposite side of the color wheel, which essentially kills the color. I talked about complements, how mixing them together, they do each other in and turn out into muddy colors often. Um, if you totally desaturate, you're left with basically almost you don't quite have white to black, so this isn't a grayscale representation, but it's a grays, um, kind of like the saturation of a color you could kind of determine from this. And we don't have to get into it this much. Um, but if you want to read more, here's more about it if you want to understand it more. We have our primaries. We mix our primaries with our secondaries. And then we mix primary and a secondary next to elf. I'm going to say this, and without looking, it's not going to make sense. But here's the high key versus low key. Here is a low key painting. It said before Van Gogh found color. It has a limited value range, and because it's all in these dark colors. You don't see white or you do see some tints in here, but they're still muted. They're not bright pink or bright yellow or anything. They're all more muted. And here's a high key, really saturated with light. And there's only some of the colors, like here is more of a grade blue in here. And these all have different tonal values. So anyway, this is some of the basics. This is splitting again your warm and your cool colors. And then we're getting into the color schemes, your analogous or your across from each other. So this is an overview. This is nice. This is red, action, passion, energy, excitement, strength, adventure, love and creativity. This is fun when you think about the emotional and moodiness of colors. And now we're going to go to Pantone and talk a little bit about color palettes. So we're going to go back to talking about our mocha mousse as the color, but look how vibrant a room decorated around mocha mousse can be. I mean, this makes me think of the Southwest. And even the picture Southwest, it looks like you've got a stucco look over on the right-hand side. So to me, this kind of Southwest, although it does not have green except in the room, except for one little plant, it actually looks like it might have a cactus in the middle. But this is quite a vibrant setting because of the contrast of the colors. But notice now, look at the blue and the brown. They really are the same value and same saturation. Um, and I'm not going to talk about that too much because when I get to talking about it, it's like Am I talking about value or saturation here? But you can see how this is lighter and brighter than the brown, but they're saturated to the same level. And even the pink, look at the tone of the pink. It's not a pale pink, it's a pink that's got the same kind of depth to it as the blue and the brown and the gold, too. And somewhat exotic grouping, it says, of tones both warm and cool. And where's the purple? They're showing purple with it. Um, it's an orchid and your spicy mustard. These go together. They're kind of similar to what's in here. Yeah, the floor does look gray, doesn't it? And yeah, I don't know kind of what color of a gray. Oh, I wonder if that table is blue or gray. Looks kind of blue to me, but it fits. It's funny how they all fit. And I think you don't have a lemon yellow or a bright pink. They're all kind of the same tonal value. And here they are right here. There are so many Pantone Mocha Mousse here with purple. It seems to go with Purple Well, Blue Jewel. Is there purple in the rug? I don't know. I don't know. Floral Pathways. And we are on Pantone now, so they're using the Pantone color numbers. But look at the mocha in here, set off by the like light blue, and then this Pantone right here, Mocha Mousse, to me it almost sometimes has a pinkish per rose tan, pinkish look to it, and even a violet sometimes to me. But notice how these still are all in the same uh, saturation level and tonal level. Shoes. I don't know what brand they are, but so Mocha Mousse really kind of is a nice color because I think just about everybody can find this looks to me like kind of a spring day. Um, and you can see they've got furniture that goes in with it, a base color for makeup down, shoes, sophisticated browns with contrasts of blue and gray for a classic statement. A car, that's an interesting color for a car. Yeah, I don't think I've seen a mocha blue car before. Yes. Oh, flat. Yes, they don't have any contrast in them. And this one is a very subtle with the black. It's a contrast, but it's very subtle. Here's again more subtle. That's very bland. I guess it'd be very peaceful and it depends upon the kind of feeling you like around you as to whether you like it or not. But I think the one that most shows, this one has got more vibrant colors in it. And you've got some, you know, interesting to have the pink and the. I think these four go together and these four go together. But this is a range of colors that really does have some contrast compared to the others, and this one too. Those are really bland. But now, a site I love, it's been around for years, is Design Seeds. If you love color and want color combinations, this is the place to go to. Yeah, little gradation, right. And sometimes you want that to be depending upon, like somebody might want a doily all in muted colors if they use doilies, or a decoration on a towel, or a brooch, or something like that. Um, because you're putting it with something of bright value or something that has contrast. So sometimes it depends upon the purpose of the item. Here, though, in design seeds, you're going to find all kinds of contrast. Um, this is beautiful. Reminds me of fall. You still have blue skies, but then you've got the fall colors coming in. The browns and you got the blue sky. That could be sand, um, or the dried items. Look at that picture. Isn't that gorgeous? But still, they're all kind of the same value and saturation. Um, but it's beautiful. It's not for a person who likes a lot of contrast. And I know that on the site here, they're almost here. I wonder if this first page is showing a lot of things with browns and mochas in it. But you can explore. Oh, here's a whole different color palette. Oh, yes, Mary. Oh, what a great um, concept. That's, yes, I had never actually thought about that. Yeah, you can get shadows and depth. And remember, deepness and shadows and depth can created by how dense things is. Oh, I've phones do that, don't they? Oh my gosh, some of the words they come up with. This doesn't look like on the right, when you look at them, they all kind of look the same kind of saturated value. But when they're put next to each other, you really have a nice contrast between the brightness of the top of the leaf and the blue. Wouldn't Have you ever thought about making oh, more? Oh, when you took away one, was that one obscene? Oh my gosh. I was trying to text my brother one day and say something, or text somebody. I was texting somebody else about living in Lakeside Village, Texas, and it wouldn't put in the word Lakeside. It kept calling it Landslide Village. And no matter what I did, I could not get that message to. I worked with it for a long time. This is think outside the box tatting. Instead of typical brown and gold for fall colors, reds um, and golds and maybe some greens. Yeah, the leaves not as flat. It's the use of the colors. This is a base color, but they've really brightened it up here in the top to be a much more yellowy gold. And then with the middle, not peach really, what would you call that? The middle color coming salmon, the middle salmon color, and then the darkness at the very tip of that. Those, and if you look at the blue and I don't know what to color that. Anyway, um, they really have a beautiful contrast. Have you ever seen anybody tat a leaf like that? If you look at embroidery and and needleworks of all kinds, sweaters, knitting, and all, you'll notice they don't always use the typical colors or the what anybody, some people would say the correct colors for a leaf. Um, and this is where we can come in with a lot of variety. And like, think of a leaf. Um, to put these colors that actually go across the center vein into the left side, a very asymmetrical look. Notice the other thing about the color in this leaf, the color is asymmetrical. You got your lights up here, and because they are light and bright, you don't have the same volume of them, although it may be close if you put them both in the same shape. But actually, it look there's I think this top part matches this bottom part more about to there, but then there's this more of the bright side down here. Just to do something different like this, and to not have it be exactly the same on each side. Notice that these ribs, the little veins don't come out exactly opposite each other on the stem. Little things like that, and you're going to get a little different. You've got different shapes in here on the left than on the right. Is it going to take longer to tat and to design? Yes. But is it going to be original and unique? That's a definite yes. And especially if you do colors like this. When we talk about originality, this leaf is perfect. It's not shaped the same on both sides. The colors are uh, don't have aren't they're balanced, but they are it's an asymmetrical balance, not even left side, right side, or top, bottom. And all of this can give your design originality. And if I'm going to buy a pattern, if I was going to look for a leaf pattern in tatting, I'd much rather have something like this than the typical mirror image on each side, or, you know, even a variegated thread is evenly variegated with maybe one color more dominant than the other two or three. So anyway, this is oh, look at this color combination. Now this could be a horror, really, of color together. Um, but if you actually look at the shades down here, it has to be put together in just the right balance. And then because they are all, some are light and some are dark. So they're not the same values, but they're the same kind of almost saturation of the colors. And that's saturation is a hard thing to um, get in your mind, but it's that's what makes some of the colors work. Okay, I that's probably about enough for today. This site you can get lost in because there's a lot you can do. Um, at least there used to be. Now I don't want to switch to Chrome. I want to see, there used to be a lot more tabs and things. Search about. Oh, search by color. Okay. So here's where you can pick a blue. Oh, and okay, so this is, now here's an analogous. One color And yet you get a lot of contrast because you got the very light and the dark. Yes, Mary, exactly. Exactly. Observation. That's the word I wanted before. What a great observation. Yes. And does it make sense here now? I mean, how you can do one thing and things that have been done over and over again and yet come up with more originality just in the balance of the space that's taken up by the colors or the balance of the shapes. So you've got the balance of the colors, the balance of the shapes. That leaf had both were asymmetrical, and yet it worked together. Um, and for having asymmetrical and asymmetrical colors and asymmetrical volume balance, not volume, that's 3D. Shape, I guess I have to say shape because that's 2D. The size of the shapes, um, the area that they take up. Um, you would want to make sure if you put a whole bunch of contrasting colors in there, that would not work. It would just be too busy. Oh, fun to play with. Yes, yes, uh-huh. It would be fun to play with that with simple rings. So this is where you can come up with, even looking at these pictures, like that leaf, you can come up with ideas. I wonder if anybody's thought to, have you seen anybody tat a bubble? That would be interesting, except we can't get the clear translucence in the center unless like we had a very, very, very pale blue and a pale yellow and maybe a variegated around the edges. Um, oh, there's an interesting leaf, pink and blue. And the thing is, if you do some designs in different colors like that, um, it's going to be a more interesting pattern for them to pick up just because of the colors you've done it in. So it'd be more appealing in some ways, depending upon the color combinations that people like. Ooh, look at that bird. That's a colorful bird. I don't know if I've ever seen a bird with a pink belly, but it's the kind of the thing that's done all the time in different art mediums, especially now with scrapbook journaling. With scrapbook journaling, people are doing a lot of kind of like fantasy type fun things that aren't realistic. In I mean, the bird is realistic looking and all, but the colors don't necessarily look realistic. But it's very appealing. Buildings. I don't know what else we could come up here to tat, but this is just fun. So, oh, and the other thing that's interesting is if you do, let's see, just put in color of the year, Mocha 2025. You're going to come up with fashion sites and makeup sites. See, there's a clothing in the color. Looks like that's either napkins or table linens or things like that, decorations. You just come up with, that looks like fabrics. You can come up with colors, you can come up with so many things. You could play with the size of thread and the color. Yes, you could. You could. And like if you made a pattern of a bubble, maybe you could do an oval shape with it too. that could be used for balloons or be used for other things. Um, so there's just so many possibilities. And in order to create original patterns, that's what we have to do is think outside the box. Um, think of what we can do a little different. And then you have this choice of so many techniques that aren't um, new techniques that don't have many designs out that use them and things like that. So I hope you've enjoyed today. I hope that it's given you a little better understanding of color or just made you think about color more is for this is the way. And then next week, I think we'll do a combination of actually, you need more playtime, yes, of actually looking at what you can do with like a triangular shape and maybe just adding a round shape to it or a different shape to it. And oh, shoot, what was the other thing I wanted to say? I think, oh, actually, how we can relate what we saw today on screen. And I'll give you a color wheel, but because a lot of color wheels you see and the ones you buy, they don't just have that one ring of the 12 uh, pure hues of the um, spectrum. So we'll look at how the color wheels are set up that you use and the differences in the way they're set up. So we'll talk about that. So we'll kind of do a combination of a review of shapes and adding more shapes and colors. You're welcome, Mary. I know we all need more playtime, don't we? So, oh, and the other thing I got a whole bunch of threads sitting at my table here, and we never got to those, showing some of the colors, those color combinations of that go together and how they go together. Um, so yeah, we need more playtime. Well, that's it for today. Um, have a good week. Have a good weekend and hope you find more time to play with all of this, everyone. And we'll see you next week. Next week, again, just the design class. So, oh, I'm glad you guys find it interesting. Um, I think if a class is interesting, I think you learn more and you think about things more, and that's what creativity and design is all about, is thinking about all the possibilities and then narrowing it down to what you want to do, like choosing one color to um, build around or choosing one shape to build around and see what you can do. So, bye for now, everybody. I'm waving bye. Bye, bye, bye.